Hello, welcome to the Glenn Beck program. Back on October 5th, the White House said something. By the way, final episode June 30th, 8 shows left. Don't miss a single one. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about energy, because on the 5th of October, the Energy Secretary, Stephen Chu, made America an exciting promise, and here it is.
The White House will lead by example. I'm pleased to announce that by the end of this spring, there will be solar panels that convert sunlight into electricity and a solar hot water heater on the roof of the White House.
Oh, my goodness. I thought when I heard that, I thought, thank you, Jesus, for having a hot water tank powered by the sun on the top of the White House, because that's going to make all the difference in the world. We're fixed, America. That's how upside down this White House is. By the way, look at the clock. Officially, end of the spring. Let me show you what it looks like. Now at the top, I don't see it. Where are the solar panels? Must be an old picture. Tiffany, is this an old picture?
It's a brand new picture.
Brand new picture. So I don't know where the solar panels are. Maybe it was a different spring. Maybe it's camouflage. Maybe they didn't do it because it's bullcrap from the beginning. What do you think? No solar panels. Even though this White House solar panel project was, quote, designed to accelerate deployment of solar technologies. Now, I know it's been 259 days since the announcement, but let me defend the president here. That may seem like 259 days. If I bought the solar panels and they weren't up on my roof yet, I'd be a little pissed. But remember, 259 days in union time, that's like 10 minutes. So back on down. Tonight, the administration's attack on our most reliable and our most needed energy sources, all in the name of going green. Oh, and the extra little added bonus of how our businesses are suffering because of it. Come on. Oh, boy. Look at them. Look at them. Some of these people in this audience, big oil people. Yeah, big coal people. Some of them businessmen. Oh, don't worry, we've alerted the authorities. Hello, America. The president spoke today at the DNC. Actually, I think it was actually yesterday. His 30th fundraiser of the year. Just a little perspective. The last president at this point in his re-election period had 3 fundraisers. 30 for this one. The White House has released a transcript of the fundraiser. Believe it or not, this is not edited. It's right there on whitehouse.gov. Drudge caught this and posted it, and I want to show you the remarks by the president, and it ended with laughter. Over the last 15 months, we've created over 2.1 million private sector jobs. Laughter. That's funny. Man, that's funny. Ignoring the pain of the American people and the horrific economy and the 9.1% unemployment, all the companies shutting down, people struggling to just put food on the table or have gas in their car. Man, that's funny, Mr. President. It really is. You're a riot. Speaking of riots, which are coming soon, at the same event, Obama also talked about energy. Here's what he said, quote, "We have begun the process of changing how we think about energy in this country." Oh, he's done that. Yes. We don't even think about energy in the country anymore. It's like, whatever spills out of that socket there, it's a magic wall box. I don't even know how that energy gets in there. Came with the house, I think. The primary energy sources the Americans rely on to operate and function, you know, for the blender when they're making daiquiris at those really swank functions at the White House, are now treated as enemies. The companies that provide them are also treated as enemies. The FTC has launched yet another investigation into big oil. Regulators are, quote, examining whether oil companies or refiners and traders have manipulated crude oil markets and caused the increased gas prices. This is so weird because they don't have any evidence whatsoever. In fact, I've got a stack of evidence on what is causing the problem, but no, they're involved in a political witch hunt. Back in April, Obama created a joint task force of the Justice Department and the FTC to investigate the oil and gas markets. They haven't found anything, but they're determined to get to the bottom of these outrageous prices. Now, America, if you have a clue on what's causing these outrageous prices, could you do me a favor? Just put them in a box and send them to the White House. Put all those clues there. They have a box of clues. They'll be like, I don't know. I don't have a box of clues. Ding dong, the post office will deliver it. Box of clues. What do you think? Put in that box maybe a president who says making energy prices skyrocket is necessary. I know the odds of finding something that obvious are really slim, especially if you work for the Justice Department. Maybe you have a chance of finding out I don't know, a printing press somewhere where they're printing up money and oil is pegged to the dollar. So if you devalue the dollar, your energy prices would necessarily skyrocket, wouldn't they, Mr. President? Maybe you could find an out-of-control government agency going out of their way to shut down coal plants like the EPA. Their new stricter regulations have already caused one of the country's largest power companies, the American Electric Power, to close at least 5 plants. That'll cost us hundreds of jobs and invest $6 billion to meet the new requirements a coal plant needs to meet now. By the way, another one in San Antonio just announced that it's going to close shop because of the stricter regulations as well. Quote, it was a decision really driven by expectations that we're going to have to face more challenging environmental regulations. Cass Sunstein, is that you? Oh, you're crazy. An executive at that plant expects more to follow suit. Now, the timing couldn't be better because this economy's about to rocket and then blow up. Yes, it is. Couldn't be better in the timing, in Texas especially. You remember Texas, the state that's creating 50% of the jobs now? Texas population is booming. Power companies are struggling to keep up with the increased demand. Texas has 19 coal-fired plants, more than any other state. And don't forget, creating half the job that Obama was joking about at his fundraiser. You might hate coal. You might think to yourself, man, I always hated it when Santa was going to bring it to me. You might hate it with everything in you. But every time you turn on your light at your home, you should fall to your knee and say, thank you, coal. Coal is used to generate about half of the electricity consumed in the United States. Here's an idea, you environmentalist wackos. Ban coal. But before you do that, I want you to use half of the electricity in your own home, in your own life, in your own office, and tell me how sweet it really is. And don't wait for the Obama administration to put the solar power, hot water heater on the roof first. Lead by example, you weenies. Okay, coal. Coal is the largest domestically produced source of energy. Half of our electricity, largest source. Why would our president make it harder for Americans to gain access to our most easily accessible energy in the middle of an economy teetering on the brink of disaster? What do you think? Why would he do that? I know he wants everybody to have a windmill in their front lawn, and I'm hoping mine comes really soon. I'm going to put it in after my solar panel on the roof, and I have my car plugged into the wall. Thank you, GM. But the technology is not there for all of those things to happen. Talk to GM. The government cannot force innovation. It doesn't work. And by the way, if I plug my car in because of evil oil, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to plug my car in. Where does the electricity come from for the car? Out of the magic box in the garage? A coal-fired plant. Now, let's see if any of these policies on energy this administration is making any sense whatsoever. Here is America's overall energy consumption breakdown. Petroleum, 37%. Evil oil, hate those guys. Natural gas, 25%. I don't know what to think. Nobody said anything about them yet. Coal, evil. Nuclear, dangerous and evil. Renewable, 8%. Perfect. Perfect. How are we going to survive? I just showed you the war on coal from this administration. They're shutting down the plants, exactly what the president said he would do. Oil, our top overall energy source, and the administration is, what are they doing? Relentlessly investigating, threatening to take windfall profits, making it harder for them to get more domestic oil. The Gulf, the BP spill, the administration put a moratorium on offshore drilling in the Gulf. The longer this went on, the harder it got for local companies to keep their doors open. We've lost jobs. We've lost all kinds of things. Tens of thousands of jobs. Skyrocketing gas prices. And then the president says, I'm going to put permits out. Yeah, try to get one. While the shares of major U.S. oil companies have tanked, Petrobras, Brazil's main oil company, oh, they're in the money. They're doing great. Of course, the president went down there and said, we're going to be their biggest customer. How about a policy where everybody else is our biggest customer? Because I don't know about you, but I'm kind of fresh out of checkbooks. Oddly enough, George Soros had his largest holding in Petrobras. 3 months after the BP spill, Soros dumped his shares in the company. Then when his eyes, started wandering around and our eyes stopped looking at him, guess what happened? He increased his holdings again in Petrobras to more than 1 million shares. What? What? Just those two sources, coal and petroleum, are 60% of our total energy, and they're under attack. I have an idea. Everybody who hates coal and oil, you stop using them. Because that's got to be at least 60% of the population. So you stop using them. We'll use them still, but you can save the planet. We're going to survive. What do you say? May I ask you, when the president says, well, I got my metal detector out and I've been walking around the beach all over the world trying to figure out what's causing these high oil prices, what do you say? Could it be, perhaps, maybe, possibly, what's happening in the Middle East? Libya? Egypt? What do you think? Possibly? Is our action in the Middle East, is our president saying, revolution? Hey, crazy kids all over the world, you should all do that. Do you think that's helping or hurting the price at the gas pump? What do you think, America? It's not that hard. It's really not that hard. Tonight, I'm going to show you how business is being affected by energy prices. We have a studio full of those evil entrepreneurial capitalists. Oh, I don't even know how we let them in the front door. How many people here are businessmen or women? How many people here have their business being hurt right now because of the situation we find ourselves in? Not necessarily the president or anything else, but because, okay. How many people are expecting even more problems because of the energy policies that we're pursuing right now? Perfect. Your jobs are going to be so secure soon because of the president. It's going to be great. It is. We might be a little chilly and hungry and poor, but the earth will be saved. No, actually it won't. It's just going to keep going doing what it does. Keep going doing what it does. America has always done well because of our energy. We have, if you grew up in the Soviet Union, you know when we bought Alaska, the Soviets went, crap. They knew. They were in trouble because we had all of those resources. Now, we don't use any of those. But, on the bright side, we do have really, really cold, barren land that nobody ever walks around. We have that. Other countries like China and Russia are pursuing cheap energy, while we're pursuing more expensive and the least productive energy sources. When the world breaks down, and it will, because it always does, but life goes on, we'll be cold, because we're banking everything we have on the Middle East and a solar panel that we can't even get installed on the roof of the White House. And he's the president. Can I tell you something? I think that sounds like the dumbest idea. I would rather bank on the flux capacitor than this energy policy. Tonight we're going to introduce you to some energy executives as well, who know firsthand about these policies. Bob Murray is with us. Hello, Bob.
Good evening, Glenn.
Bob, I want you to know, is a friend of mine. I have to admit that. I'm in bed with big coal. Bob and I, we met, what, 2 years ago, Bob? Bob Murray is the CEO of Murray Energy, a coal company in Ohio. And we have talked, I don't know how many times, Bob, a couple of times in the last couple of years. And I was struck by you because you're a guy who started with nothing. You built a company, you created jobs, you've defended workers, and you have put up with more crap from unions and administrations past and present than I think anybody. I heard your story the first time and I thought, there is a strong man. Tell me what happens if the coal plants start to close down.
When President Obama ran for the presidency, he said, you can build a coal plant in America, but we're going to bankrupt you. Biden said, no coal in America. What they have done to date, by the latest study that just came out by the National Economic Research Associates, are going to cost America 1,440,000 jobs by 2020. Just out, independent agency. Going to raise electric rates in this country $184 billion through 2020, Glenn. 1.44 million jobs, $184 billion increase in electric rates, which is a staple of life. But to me, sir, that's the national issue. It's bad enough. It's also a human issue to me. I live with our miners. These jobs I created from scratch. There's only 3,100 of them, but the universities say those mining jobs yield 37,000 jobs nationally due to the secondary jobs created for the goods and benefits. Sir, these people want to work in honor and dignity, and they're being denied that by Obama and his out-of-control regulatory agencies and policies. Sir, this isn't the America that I've known and have cherished. For them and their families to be denied their lives and livelihoods and jobs for these policies that are going to accomplish nothing. One more thing, sir. Exports of coal from America are at record levels. He has denied the American utilities the ability to use this coal, so we're exporting it to countries that are building power plants every day. China, a new 500-megawatt power plant every week. What they are doing is using the low-cost electricity because it costs 4 cents a kilowatt hour compared to 22 cents for solar, 9 to 10 cents for gas, and, of course, solar and wind have $24 a kilowatt hour in subsidies from you, sir, the taxpayer. So what he's done is he has exported that low-cost coal. They have the low-cost generation. The jobs have been exported to the foreign countries. Our people are unemployed, and it is insanity.
Is there anybody here that can explain it and give somebody the benefit of the doubt? I see this, quite honestly, America, apologize, but I see this only as one, I mean, you're trying to cripple business and the country, and you're trying to fundamentally transform. When we come back, Jack, you say you can give him the benefit of the doubt and show another path to this? We'll go there next. I have to tell you, America, there is an awful lot of passion in this room today. I feel kind of passionately about this. We're talking about energy and business and how do we possibly survive. We have oil and gas and coal people, and then we have just regular business people here in the audience. I have to tell you, we're just talking in the break, and I'm not used to asking a question of an audience and have bing, 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 everybody shouting out answers. We're back with Bob Murray. Also joining us is Deneen Borelli. She's a fellow with Project 21. Tom Borelli is a senior fellow, National Center for Public Policy Research. Jack Gerard is the president of the American Petroleum Institute. Ken Anderson is the CEO of Tri-State Generation and Transmission Association, a cooperative electric utility. And let me go back to Jack, who you raised your hand and you said, yeah, I can come up with a different reason other than intentionally trying to destroy the country.
No, what I was going to say, Glenn, I was going to add to what Bob was saying. I think two aspects of the jobs issue at 9% unemployment in the country we need to stay focused on. The first one is the current jobs, as Bob's talked about, the threat to his industry. In the oil and gas industry in the United States, we employ 9.2 million Americans. That's the first component. The second is we have the ability, if we were turned loose with permits and access to American resources produced by Americans for Americans, to create another 1 million jobs here in the United States. So when we're talking about these policies that are impacting our ability to produce energy, it threatens the existing employment base, but it also holds us back from bringing this economy back to recovery.
Well, the problem is that they will say that you're doing the old jobs. These are, Ken, go ahead. You're shaking your head. Go ahead.
Well, I think innovation. I mean, you mentioned it. What's wrong with the innovation of the existing foundational jobs that we have? If you don't like coal, then let's work on fixing it. It's a technology we can mature far beyond where we've had to take it so far. There's lots of jobs in that technological innovation, as well as the balance of other renewable innovation. I'm not knocking that. I'm just saying, where's the balance back to something that's very mature technology, but we can mature it much farther. We've got the minds, we've got the capabilities. Those are jobs.
Is anybody else frustrated that nobody seems to get this in America, that nobody seems to understand that, I mean, even while they're getting bills now from their electric company with statements saying your electric is going up 30%. Deneen, nobody seems to get it.
Well, they should get it after the show, I hope. But, you know, President Obama and his administration, they have a command and control energy policy because he wants to prop up renewable sources of energy and destroy the fossil fuel industry through regulations and through restricting supply. That is part of the reason why the prices are being driven up. But hopefully more and more Americans will speak up and stand up and push back on this effort.
Tom, you have been going after General Electric for a very long time.
Yep.
For a very long time. General Electric, they're building all these turbines. They're making money. They're doing all these green things. And they're getting, you want to talk about subsidies. How many, seriously, Jack, how many subsidies do the oil companies get?
Zero.
Zero. Say it again.
The oil and natural gas industry gets zero subsidies.
That's not true. I've got.
That's absolutely true.
No, I've got cartoons here that are up on the wall. It shows the fat cats getting subsidies, the oil companies.
The oil and gas industry gets 0 subsidies. Now, while some would like to convince you and make you believe we get subsidies, the tax provisions they're talking about, that they've proposed raising our cost $80 billion over the next 10 years, are provisions that apply to all industry, to the General Electrics you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
What they've done is identified 5 companies that they want to deny the ability to recover our costs to produce energy. It's punitive, it's vindictive, and it doesn't help us produce the energy we need for this country.
Okay, so Tom, tell me about General Electric.
Well, you have to understand, President Obama, if he's not anything else, he's a community activist. And we wouldn't have Obamacare if it wasn't for the pharmaceutical companies, Johnson & Johnson and Pfizer, who lobbied for it. So those companies responsible for Obamacare. With energy policy, it's the same thing. He triangulates the business community, picks out a few of the winners that he likes, and then they lobby together. Cap and trade passed the House of Representatives because of General Electric, DuPont, Dow Chemical. The problem with General Electric is, first of all, Immelt has been CEO for almost 10 years. Their stock went from 40, it's now around 18. He had to settle twice with the Securities and Exchange Commission, once for cooking the books, and yet he still has a job. That's why we, the people, have to start holding him accountable and all these executives, because if it wasn't for big business with Obama, we wouldn't have many of these problems.
Well, it's the same thing that happened. America, if you don't know what happened in the Great Depression with FDR, it's exactly what he did. He took, there was a great, and I wish I had this off the top of my head, but there was a great tire manufacturer in New Jersey that was making tires. They were better, they were cheaper. But FDR got in with the big tire companies that you know, Goodyear, Goodrich, all of them. And he said to them, make the rules. Tell us what's right. The people in that little tire company in New Jersey went and testified in defense of their company and their boss. They went out of business. They went out of business. But the names you know are still in business. And it's exactly what's happening with GE right now. They're using the same thing, and they're taking big companies, getting into bed with them, and putting everybody else out. You're small business owners. How many are small business owners? How many of you have the opportunity to get one of the waivers for Obamacare? No, but there were 1,400 of them. GE have their Obamacare waiver? Do you know, Tom?
I'm not sure.
Okay. There are special exceptions. You just have to be worthy of it, and all you have to do is kowtow at the feet of an emperor. That's where we're headed, an emperor. It's equal justice. Justice for all. Equal justice. When you have special exceptions, or when you have tax waivers and you say, not tax waivers, just the opposite of tax waivers, where you say, no, everybody else pays this level, but because I don't like you, you're going to pay this level? That's not America, is it?
No. Well, let's talk about innovation, though.
Hang on just a second. Innovation when we come back. This is another one of those programs that I wish we had 2 hours for. We have gas, coal, and oil executives. We have people who are just business people, people just like you as well. And we're talking in the breaks on how long before really people understand what's being done to our country, and you start to feel it in your pocketbook more than you are now with our energy prices. Kate, we were talking in the break, and you kind of vocalized exactly what I've been feeling until recently, at least.
Yeah, I just don't understand why the oil companies allow themselves to be vilified the way they are, and why they don't articulate their position to the people, because we need what they produce.
Tom, you're a guy who's been in, going after big businesses and everything else before it was cool to go after big businesses. Why are the oil companies doing it? Do you know?
Oil companies have no idea why they're doing it. I think some of them were really useful idiots. They thought they could, give a little less flesh and maybe they won't be killed with one swipe. It absolutely made no sense. They joined with General Electric and other companies to really sell out we the people. But now they're waking up And hopefully they'll recognize that people will be behind them if they do start.
Let me go to Joe Petrosky. He is he's with Gulf Oil, CEO since 2005. I think the first time I've seen you guys actually swing back in front of Congress and not look like, you know, little puppy dogs. The first time was in this last hearing. You guys started to say, "Excuse me, that's not even the truth." Why have you guys been waiting so long, Joe?
Well, I can't speak for others. You know, I think we think it's important to have a healthy debate about our energy policy, and it starts with carbon-based fuels are about 75 to 80% of our BTUs today in the United States, and no serious discussion of making us competitive and making us secure starts by saying that carbon-based fuels are going away anytime soon.
The oil companies, though, I mean, you know, BP, Beyond Petroleum, what a load of bullcrap that is. Why not be proud in what you're doing? You guys create jobs. It is a way of life currently. I mean, would it be great if we were off oil? Sure, it'd be great if we were off oil, I guess. But we're not, and we're not any time soon. You guys have put together these ads, and I know I'm not talking about you specifically, but I'm talking generally. They're ads that almost make it seem like you're ashamed of being in the oil business. Why not be proud of what you do and say, look at what we've provided for the world?
I'm proud of it. I mean, of the 165,000 gas stations in the United States, 58% are owned by single-site operators. 75% of all the stations in the United States are owned by people who are small businesses who own less than 5 units. We employ 8,000 people, and we haven't laid anybody off, and I'm quite proud of that.
And here we have the president going over and saying that we want to be Brazil's biggest customer. What does Brazil have that we don't have?
Boy, I don't know. I would say, apart from recognizing carbon fuels are here to stay, the domestic energy policy needs addressing. And it's on the fact of security. It's on the fact of jobs here for the U.S. and balance of payments. And I'll take another argument. If only you cared about the environment, if that's all you cared about, you didn't care about jobs, competitiveness, just the environment, I ask one question. Where in the world would it be safer to drill, where in the United States or Nigeria, Saudi Arabia, or Brazil? Just answer that question.
Let me go back to the audience. We were talking about CEOs. And where are all the CEOs? Where are they?
Do not think for a minute we are not fighting back. We are bounding together like we never have before. I get more calls from other people who used to be my competitors saying, can we pull our resources? Because we're not here to survive, we're here to win. And we will protect our employees at all costs. You will not take them down. We are bounding together. We're at mastermind groups. We're at roundtables. We're in our communities. We're trying to figure out how we, not depending on them, how we will get through this to the next side. Because we got into business because we love our teams. We love what we do. We consider it a blessing. And what's happening now, it's heart-wrenching.
So let me go up here.
Let's talk about what American companies can do in terms of innovation. What are American companies doing to reduce the toxicity of fracking, getting American energy out of the ground in a way that is also safe for the environment?
Jack, can you talk about that, or should fracking?
Absolutely.
Yeah, because I know that they've just found a huge oil reserve in Texas, but it may have to come through fracking, and people say that's polluting the water and everything else.
Which isn't true. Oil and natural gas, we've been using the fracking process, which for those who don't know is a process whereby we drill vertically and now through modern technology can drill horizontally and through pressure crack the rock and allow smaller deposits of natural gas and oil to now be produced commercially that weren't commercial before. We have standards. We're regulated by the federal and by the state law. We've developed best practices within the industry. It's a safe technology, has been concluded by the EPA. They've currently got it under study again today. Natural gas, the great finds we have in this country are a game changer. We've created 57,000 new jobs in just Pennsylvania and West Virginia last year alone. That's the potential of the oil and natural gas industry for given opportunity to produce.
All right, so let me go there next. I want to talk about American innovation, and I want to talk to Stephen, who says you're from Pennsylvania, right?
I'm from actually New York City, but both of my grandfathers were coal miners, anthracite region, eastern Pennsylvania. And he's absolutely right. The problem you have, and you've had for the last 30 years in Pennsylvania and other places that produce coal, is people who are against it are thinking in the past. Innovation is the answer. It can be done safely. Both of my grandfathers died of black lung. Today that would not be the case. And yet it's still a boogeyman out there. And those areas of Pennsylvania, Scranton, Wilkes-Barre, Hazleton, Frackville, all those towns are dying. These were the New Deal towns that went for Roosevelt 90%. These are my relatives that still have Roosevelt's picture on the wall and talk about Mr. Hoover's depression. And yet the Democratic Party sells them down the river.
Back in just a second. I could spend all night with these people. This is a passionate group of people. Jim.
Glenn, you identified the region of Texas as a potential for new energy supply in shale gas. Don't discount the Pennsylvania region combined with Ohio, West Virginia.
The only reason why I say that is because Texas still understands freedom where the Northeast doesn't.
Let's not forget there were more new millionaires created as a result of industry investment in North Dakota than in any other state in the nation. We can do this. We can continue our policy of innovation with new improvements to gasoline, new improvements to diesel oil and heating oil that are coming along to make them competitive.
Lisa?
Yes.
Okay. Lisa, you just bought a new home.
Yes, we did.
Tell me about it.
My husband and I sold our home with a real feeling that we really had to become more self-reliant, inspired by watching your program and reading, so much material.
Oh, you're a kook.
Yes. And, we prayed about it and really said we know we'd find the right home, and we did. And it had the acreage we have that we can actually farm our own food, and we're already harvesting, lettuce and things. And it had, really by God's hand, it had a wood-burning furnace and that heats hot water and the home. And it had southern exposure, which was so hard for us to find in Connecticut, where there's a tree on every corner and blocking every view. So we feel like until things really change in terms of containing the cost of energy that will necessarily skyrocket, these are the only tools that we have right now.
But you can't put up a solar panel on your house.
I can, but it's not within my affordability.
Right. Well, you can always get subsidies, and you can let the rich fat cats pay for it. Yes. Kenneth, you were just saying...
affordability. I think, we have a strong bent, we're a not-for-profit organization ourselves. Our memberships serve rural areas. I'm only concerned that people who look at like solar and those things, they need to know the real cost of those products, the long-term cost. Nothing's for free. I think we have to have a balance, but I think particularly you get enabled by doing something affordable today, increasing the economy, the economic wealth. It makes the innovation possible for her to be able to afford those products. We want a solution this minute that lasts maybe a year to get somebody else reelected. I'm concerned about that. This is a long-term plan. You have to be there.
Let me ask if these policies continue, if there's another term of these policies, and then somebody who doesn't care about getting reelected, do you believe that we will be producing oil and gas and coal, even at the levels that we're producing it now, or what they're stating that we're going to produce it? Anybody? Does anybody? Don?
In physics, there's a principle called Occam's razor, and
hold on, I've got to take a hard network break. Back in a second. Quickly, we have some solutions and things you can do, but back with Don quickly.
In principle thought, there's a process called Occam's razor, which means never avoid the obvious. And when it comes to the energy policy, the obvious is that the people who are in political, powerful positions are making policy to benefit themselves, not to benefit us.
So, Bob, then what do we do? You're in the coal.
There's a simple solution, Glenn, and that is every American, every one of your viewers, must get to their congressman, their senator immediately and get the legislative branch to stop the insanity that is coming out of the Obama administration. It is moving.
A lot of them think that Cass Sunstein is a good guy on the right as well as the left. He's a dangerous guy. Tom, I think, Bob, that good solution, but Tom, give me something that somebody at home can do.
Progressive CEOs are as dangerous as progressive politicians. We have a website, bigbusinesswatch.org, where you can see the companies who are trying to sell out the American people on energy.
Now listen to this, America. A guy who does, I think he's from New Jersey. Tell me, Derek. Tell me what can be done here.
I have a thick New Jersey accent.
Yes,
On a little optimistic note, I firmly believe U.S. is a very unique country. We can stand on our own two legs. We don't need Europe. We don't need the Middle East. We need a leadership with backbone, big dreams, and integrity. Bold leadership, and we can do it. So when you vote, vote with your mind, not with your emotions.
America. That's a guy from Poland. He gets it more than 80% of America at times, I think, and definitely more than 99% of those in Washington. We can do it. We are a country that has changed the world, but we need energy. It's really hard to create anything when you're worried about hot food, getting to work, keeping warm, having light. We are the country that developed the light bulb. We're also now the country that has banned it. It doesn't make a lot of sense. Back in a minute. Let me go to Gary, because you're a small businessman. You were just saying.
We have 47 full-time employees, so as far as incenting us to hire more employees, at 50 employees, we face the penalties of Obamacare in 2014. So my wife and I are in a very weird predicament where we want to grow the business to pay for the higher fuel costs, but when we do that, we then get the further Obamacare restrictions, regulations.
Nobody, if you're a businessman, how many people here who are businessmen or businesswomen, how many say, I'm afraid that I'm going to spend most of my time trying to fight the government for these jobs more than anything else?
I already am. Already am. More than half of my time, I'm fighting my own government and the Obama administration.
America, enough is enough. Enough is enough. Stand together. Use common sense. From New York, good night, America. Energy sources the Americans rely on to operate and function, you know, for the blender when they're making daiquiris at those really swank functions at the White House, are now treated as enemies. The companies that provide them are also treated as enemies. The FTC has launched yet another investigation into big oil. Regulators are, quote, examining whether oil companies or refiners and traders have manipulated crude oil markets and caused the increased gas prices. This is so weird because they don't have any evidence whatsoever. In fact, I've got a stack of evidence on what is causing the problem, but no, they're involved in a political witch hunt. Back in April, Obama created a joint task force of the Justice Department and the FTC to investigate the oil and gas markets. They haven't found anything, but they're determined to get to the bottom of these outrageous prices. Now, America, if you have a clue on what's causing these outrageous prices, could you do me a favor? Just put them in a box and send them to the White House. But hello. Welcome to the Glenn Beck program. Back on October 5th, the White House said something. By the way, final episode, June 30th. 8 shows left. Don't miss a single one. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about energy. Because on the 5th of October, the Energy Secretary, Stephen Chu, made America an exciting promise. And here it is.
The White House will lead by example. I'm pleased to announce that by the end of this spring, there will be solar panels that convert sunlight into electricity and a solar hot water heater on the roof of the White House.
Oh, my goodness. I thought, when I heard that, I thought, thank you, Jesus, for having a hot water tank powered by the sun on the top of the White House. Because that's going to make all the difference in the world. We're fixed, America. That's how upside down this White House is. By the way, look at the clock. Officially, end of the spring. Let me show you what it looks like. Now at the top, I don't see it. Where are the solar panels? Must be an old picture. Tiffany, is this an old picture?
It's a brand new picture.
Brand new picture. So I don't know where the solar panels are. Maybe it was a different spring. Maybe it's camouflage. Maybe they didn't do it because it's bullcrap from the beginning. What do you think? No solar panels. Even though this White House solar panel project was, quote, designed to accelerate deployment of solar technologies. Now, I know it's been 259 days since the announcement, but let me defend the president here. That may seem like 259 days. If I bought the solar panels and they weren't up on my roof yet, I'd be a little pissed. But remember, 259 days in union time, that's like 10 minutes. So back on down. Tonight, the administration's attack on our most reliable and our most needed energy sources, all in the name of going green. Oh, and the extra little added bonus of how our businesses are suffering because of it. Come on. Look at them. Look at them. Some of these people in this audience, big oil people. Yeah, big coal people. Some of them businessmen. Oh, don't worry, we've alerted the authorities. Hello, America. The president spoke today at the DNC. Actually, I think it was actually yesterday. His 30th fundraiser of the year. Just a little perspective. The last president at this point in his re-election period had 3 fundraisers. 30 for this one. The White House has released a transcript of the fundraiser. Believe it or not, this is not edited. It's right there on whitehouse.gov. Drudge caught this and posted it, and I want to show you the remarks by the president, and it ended with laughter. Over the last 15 months, we've created over 2.1 million private sector jobs. Laughter. That's funny. Man, that's funny. Ignoring the pain of the American people and the horrific economy and the 9.1% unemployment, all the companies shutting down, people struggling to just put food on the table or have gas in their car. Man, that's funny, Mr. President. It really is. You're a riot. Speaking of riots, which are coming soon, at the same event, Obama also talked about energy. And here's what he said, quote, "We have begun the process of changing how we think about energy in this country." Oh, he's done that. Yes. We don't even think about energy in the country anymore. It's like, whatever spills out of that socket there, it's a magic wall box. I don't even know how that energy gets in there. Came with the house, I think. The primary